जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि यमुना तीरावनचारि जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरये।
ततो जयमुदीरये।
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके
भगवते उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
We are reading from Canto 5, Chapter 14, text number 37. एवं वित्ता व्यतिशंगा विवृद्धा वैरानुबंधो पि पूर्व वासनया मिथ उद्वहति अथा पहवति. Word to word meanings. Evam, in this way. Vitta vyatisanga, because of monetary transactions. Vivriddha, increased. Vaira anubandha, having relationships of enmity. Api, although. Purva vasanaya, by the fructifying results of previous impious activities. Mitha, with each other. Udvahati, become united by the means of marriage of sons and daughters. Atha, thereafter. Apavahati, they give up the marriage or get a divorce. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Although people may be enemies, in order to fulfill their desires again and again, they sometimes get married. Unfortunately, these marriages do not last very long, and the people involved are separated again by divorce or other means. Purport. As stated previously, every conditioned soul has the propensity to cheat, even in marriage. Everywhere in this material world, one conditioned soul is envious of another. For the time being, people may remain friends, but eventually they become enemies again and fight over money. Sometimes they marry and then separate by divorce or other means. On the whole, unity is never permanent. Due to cheating propensity, both parties always remain envious. Even in Krishna consciousness, separation and enmity takes place due to the prominence of material propensities. We'll read the next verse also, translation in this. Translation: the path of this material world is full of material miseries, and various troubles disturb the conditioned souls. Sometimes he loses and sometimes he gains. In either case, the path is full of danger. Sometimes the conditioned soul is separated from his father by death or other circumstances. Leaving him aside, he gradually becomes attached to others, such as his children. In this way, the conditioned soul is sometimes illusioned and afraid. Sometimes he cries loudly out of fear. Sometimes he is happy maintaining his family. And sometimes he is overjoyed and sings melodiously. In this way, he becomes entangled and forgets his separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead since time immemorial. Thus, he traverses the dangerous path of material existence. And on this path, he is not at all happy. Those who are self realized simply take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to get out of this dangerous material existence. Without accepting the devotional path, one cannot get out of the clutches of material existence. The conclusion is that no one can be happy in material life. One must take to Krishna consciousness. Purport: by thoroughly analyzing the materialistic way of life, any sane man can understand that there is not the least happiness in this world. However, due to continuing on the path of danger from time immemorial and not associating with saintly persons, the conditioned soul under illusion wants to enjoy this material world. Material energy sometimes gives him a chance at so called happiness, but the conditioned soul is perpetually being punished by material nature. It is therefore said, Dandya Jane Raja Yena Nadite Chubaya. Materialistic life means continuous unhappiness. But sometimes we accept happiness as it appears between the gaps. Sometimes the condemned person is submerged in water and hauled out. Actually, all of this is meant for punishment, but he feels a little comfort when he is taken out of the water. This is the situation with the conditioned soul. All the Shastras therefore advise that one associate with devotees and saintly people. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastre kahe, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi hoy. Even by a little association with devotees, the conditioned soul can get out of this miserable material condition. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to give everyone a chance to associate with saintly people. Therefore, all the members of the Krishna conscious society must themselves be perfect sadhus in order to give a chance to fallen conditioned soul. This is the best humanitarian work. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratushe Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Upesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataro Bhishra Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatam ham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So we're discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14. So we know, as we all know in the previous chapter, we all know the history, the background. So there was a discussion going on between Jad Bharat and Maharaj Rahugana. And there Jad Bharat gave some enlightening instructions to Maharaj Rahugana. Some very enlightening, some very philosophical instructions, which Rahugana was not able to compile or assemble immediately. And that's why he asked for clarification. Even Parikshit Maharaj actually asked for clarification, that can you explain all these analogies or all these allegorical stories that were told. So that the conversation that was happening between Jad Bharat and Maharaj Rahugana, that was being told by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj asked for clarification here in this entire chapter, which is titled The Forest of Enjoyment. All the allegorical stories that were given, the different analogies that were given, that are being nicely explained by Shukdev Goswami. And here itself we see it talks about the entire chapter. The theme is the forest of enjoyment. It talks about the propensity of every human being in this world, or propensity of every conditioned soul in this world. That is the propensity to enjoy in this world, or enjoy separately from the Lord. And here it's explained like in the forest, a person goes, the example that was given, like a trader who goes in the forest to buy things, to get some articles for his use, but ultimately he gets baffled. Similarly, a conditioned soul in this world, he searches for enjoyment. That's what he thinks, that this place is meant for enjoyment. But in all the purports, the same thing is mentioned, or near or less the same thing is explained, that the person has come to enjoy, he tries to enjoy in different ways, but ultimately he realizes that there is no happiness. That is the conclusion that Prabhupada writes in the purport, that ultimately an intelligent or a sane person will understand this fact, that there is no happiness in this world. So let's try to read this one, understand this one. So in the first purport, Prabhupada mentions, as stated previously, every conditioned soul has the propensity to cheat, even in marriage. So this is, we all know the four propensities of every human being, or every human being has those four defects. What are those? One of them is this, cheating propensity. Others are tendency to be illusioned. And then there are the imperfect senses and tendency to commit mistakes. So every person who is under the modes of material nature, who is affected, who is not a liberated soul, he has these four defects. And one of them that is mentioned here is the propensity to cheat. And this propensity is so high, so great, that as it's mentioned here, even in marriage, the person has the propensity to cheat. And we hear so many examples where people get married just for the sake of money, or just for the sake of some external pleasures, even though they don't want to get married with that person. And they marry, and after some time they part ways. Just because they wanted money or they wanted some enjoyment, they do get that enjoyment, and after that they cheat the other person and they part ways. And that is what is mentioned here, that in order to fulfill their desires again and again, they sometimes get married, but these marriages do not last very long. And that's why in the past, as we all know, that how marriages used to happen. There used to be the horoscope matching that used to happen, the astrological chart that used to be compared. And as it is given in the scriptures, there are different kinds of ganas that are there. Some people belong to the category of Dev Gana, some people belong to a category of Bhut Gana, and some people belong to the category of Manushya Gana. And based on those ganas, the marriages used to take place. So based on those ganas, based on those comparisons, when the horoscope chart was compared, then the marriage used to happen. But now what happens is, the person has the propensity to cheat. He doesn't care about all these rules and regulations, all the Vedic injunctions that are there. And that's why he just, for his own sense enjoyment, thinking he'll get some pleasure, he gets into that marriage, but ultimately that doesn't last long. And people part ways after some time. And that's what mentioned here. For the time being, people may remain friends, but eventually they become enemies again and fight over money. Sometimes they marry and then separate by divorce or other means. On the whole, unity is never permanent. So this is what we were discussing even in the previous verse. In the previous class, we discussed the same thing, that how people may call themselves as friends. They may be very, very close friends. They may make many promises to each other, vows to each other that will always remain with each other throughout life and this and that. Many people do like that. But then after some time, as soon as their sense gratification is getting affected, as soon as there's some, in the previous verse, Prabhupada or Shukdev Goswami was speaking about the monetary transactions. As soon as some problem in the monetary transactions happen, even the closest of the friends, even the best of the friends, what to speak about friends, even family members, even a son and a father, or even two brothers, they start fighting with each other, or they also pick up arms against each other, ready to kill each other. I was hearing in one of the lectures, one devotee was sharing that how in India the maximum number of cases that are pending in the court are legal cases or cases related to some land, litigation cases related to some land. And most of the cases people are fighting for this. Most of the cases, both of the parties are family members only. Brothers and brothers are fighting, father and son is fighting, or some cousins or these people, and these cases are continuing for years and years together. And that's what is mentioned here, that for time being, people may remain friends, they may remain friends very close to each other, they have a blood relation, but eventually they become enemies and fight over money. As soon as in any relationship, be it the relationship of friends, be it the relationship of family members, or even the relationship of husband and wife, as soon as money comes into picture, as soon as there is some transaction of money which is not proper, which is inappropriate, then fights start, then the enmity start. And that is the nature of this material world, as we discussed, nature of this material world full of enviousness, full of enmity. And that's what Prabhupada is writing. On the whole, unity is never permanent. There cannot be any unity in this world. Many times Prabhupada used to condemn in his lectures also about United Nations and all these things, that all these people, they are making different kinds of efforts. They are making the United Nations, they are trying to unite the nations. But then every year the flags are only increasing there. Or every year the number of countries are increasing. It's not helping in any way. Because on the material platform, there cannot be any unity. People may try different techniques, people may try different peace agreements, these agreements. We all know after the World War that happened, there were so many agreements that were made, so many things that had happened. But then that didn't help in any form of unity, or no unity came out of it. Because as Prabhupada is mentioning, the point he's mentioning is unity is never permanent. He's talking on the material platform. On material platform, unity can never be permanent. But then he mentioned, this is another very interesting point. Due to the cheating propensity, both parties always remain envious. That is always there when the desire is not proper, enmity is there, then enviousness will definitely be there. And then he mentions, even in Krishna consciousness, separation and enmity takes place due to the prominence of material propensities. So this is a very, very important point which we can take away for all of us. That if our desires are also not correct, if we are also not proper in our sadhana, if we also have too many material propensities, then separation and enmity takes place even inside the movement. And we have seen this in the past, in the history of our movement also, we have seen many kinds of fights, many devotees leaving Krishna consciousness, and the only reason that is given here is due to the prominence of material propensities. Because initially we come with that mode, initially come with that spirit that we have come here to serve the Lord. All our activities should be centered around pleasing the Lord. But with time, what happens is, with time, the goal of the activities changes. Or if the sadhaka is not doing his Krishna consciousness or his sadhana properly, then with time, the material propensities increases. That even in Krishna consciousness, he starts searching for something for his own enjoyment. That how can this thing help me in my own enjoyment? And then when that is the case, when even in Krishna consciousness, devotees come together, but everyone is looking for his own material propensities or his own enjoyment, how he can satisfy himself, that's where separation and enmity take place. Why? Because the goal is not clear. I was hearing in one lecture, His Holiness Gaur Govind Maharaj was mentioning this thing, that at a time, in the initial time, the time after Prabhupada passed away, and there were a lot of problems that were happening in ISKCON. Lot of fights were happening, lot of arguments were happening. And he mentioned a very interesting point. He mentioned this thing that this is all because, he pointed to his chanting beats. This is all because people are not doing this properly. Or japa is not happening, the sadhana is not happening properly. When when the things are happening properly, when the sadhana is happening properly, when people are chanting nicely, or the different aspects of Krishna consciousness are proper, and the goal is properly aligned, that we are here to please the Lord, not to satisfy our own senses, then automatically unity comes, because everyone thinks that we are here to help each other to practice Krishna consciousness. But when the goal gets misaligned, and that's what he was mentioning, that because people have become weak or slacked in their sadhana, and that is the reason so many arguments, so many fights. This question was asked to him, that why so many things are happening, why so many fights even in Krishna consciousness. And he just mentioned one thing: because people are not chanting properly, or because they are not having taste in japa. So this is the point that is mentioned. This is what Prabhupada is writing, that even in this movement, separation and enmity can take place, or takes place. It has already happened due to the prominence of material propensities. Because instead of serving the Lord, when propensities of our own, or desires to get name, fame, and prestige, and many different kinds of desires, when they creep in and people start thinking that how I can become better, instead of helping others, how they start thinking that how we can improve, or how I can become more and more popular, that's when enmity starts taking place, or that's when problem starts taking place. And ideally we see that is not a nature of a Vaishnava. We were discussing this earlier, that who is actually a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is one, or we were discussing the characteristics of people in the spiritual world, how they are completely free from envy, how they are happy when someone serves the Lord in a better way, or someone is serving the Lord nicely. Everyone acknowledges that, everyone appreciates that. They do not become envious, or they do not start pulling each other, that how come this person is serving the Lord better. Rather, they are happy about it, and they also have a desire to please the Lord better. That is a healthy competition that is there in the spiritual world. But in the material world, if the sadhana doesn't happen properly, that even in the movement, when material desires are very prominent, then instead of serving the Lord, people start serving their own senses, or people want themselves to have more prominence, or their own senses to be gratified more. And that is why enmity takes place even in the movement. So now in the next verse, Prabhupada speaks something about how in this material world, different transactions that happen. Prabhupada is speaking about the path of this material world is full of material miseries, and various troubles disturb the conditioned soul. So this we all have discussed, how this world, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita also says, this world is dukkhalayam ashasvatam. This world is full of miseries and it's temporary. And various troubles, which we have already discussed, the three kinds of kleshas that are there, which trouble each and every living entity. And sometimes he loses, sometimes he gains. In either case, the path is full of danger. Or padam padam yad vipdam nateshan. The entire path, or entire material world is full of danger. Sometimes the conditioned soul is separated from his father by death or other circumstances. Leaving him aside, he gradually becomes attached to others, such as his children. In this way, the conditioned soul is sometimes illusioned and afraid. So this talks about that how illusion in this world is so strong. Attachments are so strong, and the person gets illusioned, that even if a person is attached to some person, here it's mentioned that a person is attached to his own father a lot. So it's not that after the father passes away from this world, attachment goes away, or he becomes free of illusion, he becomes Krishna conscious or something like that. Attachment comes to someone else. Because Maya keeps on illusioning him, Maya keeps on making him feel that this world is real. And people in this world are real. And even if he sees people are passing away, he's dovetailing his attachment to other people that are there. Like here, father passes away, then he gradually develops attachment to his own children. And so many examples, like recently Prabhuji was sharing that his great-grandmother, so now great-grandmother is mother's mother's mother. And she is also so attached that now she wants him to get married, or now she wants to see even further generations that are there. So people in this world, they are so illusioned that until they come to this path, or until they take to Krishna consciousness, always they keep on developing attachment. And it's not about attachment to one person. Sometimes someone says that I'm attached to this person, that is my problem. If only that attachment goes away in my life, then everything will be sorted. But that is just a trick of Maya, or that is just illusion that we feel. It's not about attachment to one person, it's just the illusion that we are in, and we feel that attachment is so strong. Even if tomorrow that person goes away, our mind will trick us and we'll get attached to someone else. Like sometimes young people also say, boys also say that I'm too much attached to my parents. Or if that is the reason only, I'm not able to practice nicely. If that attachment wouldn't have been there, I would have been very strict or very strong in my practice. But that also here it's clearly mentioned that is just a trick of Maya. Today that is the attachment, tomorrow some other attachment will come. Tomorrow some other attachment to someone else, maybe to our own family members or the extended family that is there, or someone or the other, the attachment will develop, and again will fall into illusion. Because unless we take to the path of Krishna consciousness, we will always be illusion. No one is in this world can get out of that illusion. And that's why Prabhupada used to give the example of the foreigners who are there. Those people, they don't have a nice family. Those people, mostly they are alone in the elder ages because no one is there to take care of them. But even those people, they do not take to devotional service. Rather, they become attached to a dog. In there, Prabhupada used to speak that how they keep a dog and they'll take the dog out for a walk. They'll wait for him to pass stool and urine. They'll dress up the dog nicely. They'll do different activities for the dog. And just because even in this world, they don't have anyone to be attached to, no one cares for them, they are elderly and people have left them. Still, they themselves take some person or even an animal to get attached to. This is how it's not about attachment to one person or one particular entity. It's the illusion we are in. We feel that we are attached to so many things. And that illusion keeps on extending. In this, even one devotee was sharing that in his only problem in his life was because his attachment to his parents or his attachment to his mother that was there. And recently, due to something, when his mother passed away, then he was saying that, no, I was feeling like that now so many other attachments have come, or now I'm not able to give up my job, or now I'm not able to do all those other things that are there. Because that's the nature of the mind, that we feel that at one point of time, this is the highest problem that is there in our life, or this is the highest attachment that is there. But when that problem goes away, then another problem takes precedence. And ultimately, we always be in illusion. Sometimes he cries loudly out of fear. Sometimes he is happy maintaining his family, and sometimes he is overjoyed and sings melodiously. In this way, he becomes entangled and forgets his separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead since time immemorial. So this is what is mentioned, that how a conditioned soul becomes entangled by this family life. As Prahlad Maharaj also says, Hitvatma patam grahamanda kupam vanam gatoyam harim ashrayeta. So he gives his advice to his own father. When his father was asking him what are the best things he has learned, rather he starts preaching to him about family life. And he speaks about this deep dark, that family life is compared to a deep dark well. That when a person jumps into it, then there is no escape. The person gets completely entangled. And what is the problem that happens? He forgets his separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Or he forgets about the Supreme Lord, he forgets about devotional service, and he just becomes entangled, searching for happiness in this world. And then he says, thus he traverses the dangerous path of material existence, and on this path he is not at all happy. And that is what in the purport also is mentioning, that any sane person can analyze after some time that no one can be happy in this world. But the problem is, even after understanding all that, even after understanding that this world is full of miseries, they don't have any option. They say whatever it is, we accept. They become conditioned to those miseries, and in that miseries also they start searching for some happiness. Like Prabhupada in the purport gives that example of a person being put into water, or person, sometimes in movies we used to see that they are torturing the person like that. They'll cover the face of the person, dip him inside water if they want to know some secrets from that person, and then take out the person out of that, or haul the person out of that. And in that little time when the person's face is taken out of water, he feels comfortable, he feels relaxed. And the same comparison Prabhupada is given for the people in material existence. That how even though so many miseries, so many troubles will be there, but even among them, they become so conditioned and little happiness there, and they forget all the miseries. Like in the COVID times, we had this. So many miseries were there, so many people were dying, people were blocked at their homes, people are not able to go out, and so many problems were there. But even among those miseries, even among those problems that were there, as soon as the first thing that was opened, first market that was opened, and that was the liquor shops that were opened. And the TVs, they were showing that how a great line, a huge line had formed there. And people were also posing for the camera, people posing nicely for the camera, very, very happy. Wearing the mask and everything, carrying bottle in their hands, posing for the camera. And this is what Prabhupada is mentioning, that even amongst so many miseries, seeing so many people are dying and this and that, little happiness they get out of that and they forget everything. They forget that this world is full of miseries. They forget how troublesome situation they're in, and they try to seek happiness in those things. Or in that little happiness, they feel they have achieved something great, or they become very, very happy. And finally, Prabhupada points out at the solution that how actually to get out of this. We are entangled from time immemorial. We have these four propensities to cheat, to commit mistakes, and all those things. And we have been getting entangled life after life. This illusion is trapping us again and again. So, what is the solution to finally get out of it? And that is what Prabhupada is mentioning. Those who are self realized simply take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to get out of this dangerous material path. Without accepting the devotional path, one cannot be happy, one cannot get out of the clutches of material existence. The conclusion is no one can be happy in material life, one must take to Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada here is himself pointing out at the solution that one has to take up to devotional service. That is the only way to get out of the cycle of birth and death, get out of this entanglement. Otherwise, the person will continue life after life in this entanglement. Now question comes, according to philosophy, we understand that no one can take to Krishna consciousness by himself. It can never happen unless we speak about Sukriti or all those things, that no one can take to this path of Krishna consciousness by his own endeavor. Unless a mercy of devotee flows in his life, at least that's what we discuss, unless a mercy of a pure devotee flows in his life, he cannot follow the path of pure devotional service. So what is the only solution that Prabhupada explains in the purport? That how one can actually take to Krishna consciousness, and that is by association of devotees. By getting in that association, only person, that's what Prabhupada mentions here. All the Shastras therefore advise that one associates with devotees and saintly people. That is what is mentioned. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kaye, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hai. Even by a little association with devotees, the conditioned soul can get out of this miserable material condition. And this is the solution that Prabhupada is pointing out here, that how this can happen only by association of devotees. Now the another question that comes, a person who is ignorant, who doesn't know about Krishna consciousness, who doesn't have Sukriti, he cannot take association of devotees because he doesn't know about that, he doesn't know the importance of this. So Prabhupada points here, it's more of Krishna consciousness movement, or we giving our association to others, or when we preach, when we go out, when we bring them to Krishna consciousness, that is the only hope for them. Or that is how they can get that seed of devotional service, that is how their devotional life can begin. And that is what is given here. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to give everyone a chance to associate with saintly people. And that is what the movement is all about, to give people the chance that they can come here and they can associate with saintly people. They can also get that kind of association, and then they can advance in devotional service, or then their devotional life can actually begin. Because by our own endeavor, we cannot begin Krishna consciousness. And that's what Prahlad Maharaj tells Hiranyakashipu, that Matirna Krishna Parato Satova. That we cannot take to Krishna consciousness just by our intellectual skills. If we are very, very intelligent, even if we read all the scriptures, even Hiranyakashipu was very intelligent, he knew all the scriptures. So we cannot take to Krishna consciousness just by our endeavor or just by someone else's endeavor. These are not the ways of taking to Krishna consciousness. How one can get Krishna consciousness? Prahlad Maharaj says, Mahi Asham Pad Rajo Peshekam Nishkinchananam Na Vinitayavat. That only by smearing the dust of those devotees, dust of the lotus feet of those devotees who are completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord, who are Nishkinchana, or who do not have any material desires. Only by surrendering to those devotees, only by smearing their lotus feet on our head, can a person who is completely entangled in this material life, that person can revive his Krishna consciousness. Or that person can take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord and become free from material contamination. Otherwise, there is no hope for him. And that's why in the last line, Prabhupada mentions a very amazing point. He says, therefore, all the members of this Krishna consciousness society must themselves be perfect sadhus in order to give a chance to fallen conditioned soul. So that's what Prabhupada in the previous line he was mentioning, that this Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to give everyone a chance to associate with saintly people. So now the burden comes on us, or the point comes on us, that first we have to become that of that category, that we can give someone that association. Or at least when people come in this association, they can get benefited. And that's why he's giving this warning or giving this order that everyone must themselves first practice nicely. And that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Brahmanda Brahmate, sorry, not that one. Janma sarthak kari, karo paropkar. That first one has to practice himself nicely. First, one has to go deeper in his own sadhana and get all those qualities. Like in one of the purports, Prabhupada mentions about the 26 qualities of a devotee. That one has to endeavor to develop those qualities, or at least endeavor to develop the basic qualities like tolerance, humility, gratitude. We have to endeavor to develop those qualities that we can become capable enough to give others association. Because if we are only weak in our practice, others also come, they will also get deviated, or they will also run away from here. Because only then we can give us the others association when we are good enough, we are also elevated in our consciousness, we have that capability to give this thing to others. And that's what Prabhupada says, this is the best humanitarian work. So giving others a chance, or this is the best way we can help people, by giving them the chance to associate with saintly people. And that is very, very necessary, to associate with those who are fixed up in their practice of Krishna consciousness. That's how a person can change, or that's how a person can advance in spiritual life. That's what even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his teaching say, Asat Sanga Tyag E Vaishnavachar. That a person has to give up the association of non-devotees, give up the associations of those who are too much interested in materialism, and rather take up to the association of devotees. Only then he can steadily and continuously practice and advance in devotional service. If he takes some association here and then he goes out and takes some other association of materialist, then it won't be very helpful. Or he might make some progress, but again in that association he might come down, or his consciousness might go down. Like one person was asking like that can I stay in the base, and I have some plans, like in 1 month I have planned with my friends to go on trips. So can I do that staying in the base? Can I do that? Like only once I'll go, and the other time I'll stay in the base. And the point was same, that if a person takes association of devotees, but he also has plans that he wants to take association of materialist, he also wants to associate with them, go out on trips with them, then this practice won't be of much use. Because a person, when he takes that kind of association, naturally his consciousness will go down, and with time he will not be able to even practice. Or with time, as the association increases, as those things, as more and more contamination happens, even to practice the basic aspects of Krishna consciousness will become difficult. And then the same person, as Prabhupada used to say about the deities, the same deities which are given for worship become galagra, or become a burden in the neck. Why it happens? Because when a person is not fixed up in his practice, he does not follow the regulative principles properly, the same activities become burden. Or the same practice of chanting 16 rounds, reading and hearing, becomes burden for a person who is not following the regulative principles properly, and who is not keeping his association proper. And that naturally, it's natural that a person with time will go out, he won't be able to continue his practice. So that's what the point Prabhupada is mentioned, that the only chance to get out of this entanglement is to associate with devotees, and being in this association in a constant way, in a continuous way, and then with time the person can advance. And then for us as devotees, he mentioned this point, that first of all we have to become capable, we have to practice all the saintly qualities, we have to endeavor to get those qualities, and then we can give those association, give that association to others, and help others also get out of that entanglement. And this is the best humanitarian work. Many times people want to do some charity, help some people, and this is the best kind of charity we can give. This is the best kind of help we can do to someone, by giving him the highest knowledge, or giving him the highest chance to continue or to practice Krishna consciousness. And that is the only solution a person can get out of this cycle of birth and death, and actually revive that remembrance, or revive that connection with the Supreme Lord, which he has forgotten from time immemorial, which he has forgotten about the Supreme Lord, and that's why he is wandering in this cycle of birth and death, undergoing so many miserable conditions. And that chance can only be given in this association once you take to devotional service. So that is the best thing we can do. So with this, I would like to end here. And We'll pause. Can share one points and then we'll end today.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for this wonderful class. You told that like under this modes we have the four propensity to, that is to cheat, to commit mistake, to imperfections, having imperfections, and these are so in that cases like we when wherever there is a problem in whenever there is a monetary issue, so there is fight because and because of that there is no unity. You said in this material world there is no unity between people because they are not Krishna conscious. So for that devotees have to be become first Krishna conscious to spread Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the very nice class. So the points you mentioned were like on material platform unity is not possible. If you want unity, we have to be on devotional platform. And the only problem even in the Krishna conscious movement is that like if our sadhana and is not proper, if our chanting is not proper, then material propensities will increase, because of which again arguments and fights, separations, everything takes place even in Krishna conscious movement. The devotees get separated and they stop practicing Krishna consciousness. And also like even with a little association of devotees one can get out of the material engagement entanglement. So we have to become saintly. The burden is on us that if we become saintly then we can give saintly association and others can get delivered. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So it's not about the attachment to one person or other things. That is Maya's trick. If a devotee not do sadhana properly, material propensities will increase, or separation and enmity will take place. And before giving association to others, we should elevate our consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So as you mentioned, like for sense gratification, conditioned souls comes together and make new relations and all. But once they feel like their sense gratification is getting like deviated or something like that, so they break that relation and try to make another more relations to do more sense gratification. Thank you.
And thank you for nice class, Prabhuji. So you told if someone not following rules or regulations and principles, it will become a burden for him, the devotional service, and sometime he'll leave. And when we think if sadhana is not done properly also, problem happens, and there will be problems, and we should do and when we are not having taste in japa also, so the problem happens. And you gave the example of Gurvansh Maharaj. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for this nice class. So this point which you made, that one cannot enter into Krishna consciousness just by one's own endeavor. A mercy of a pure devotee is required. And you said intelligence is also not enough, because Hiranyakashipu was very intelligent. He knew all the scriptures, he knew all scriptural knowledge, but still he was not a devotee. He used it for his own endeavors. Whereas, and Prahlad Maharaj said that the only way to get the understand Krishna is through the pure devotee.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the instant and nice class. So I also liked that point. So even in the association of devotees, why these fights happen? So because of no proper sadhana or the no taste in japa. And that point also I liked, like, so if I want to give Krishna conscious to others, first I should have that. So first I have to cultivate all these 26 qualities of pure devotee. Only then I can give. Janma sataka kari karo parupakar. These are the points which I like. Thank you. Hare Krishna.